Hello there, and welcome to episode 4 of my quick tutorial series for Mind Over Magic. In this one, we're going to cover the topic of students. So I'm going to give you all the things you need to know from summoning to graduation and the little things in between. We're not going to touch the subject of apprentices in this video yet, as this is a rather advanced topic. There is a playlist link down there below leading to the entirety of the playlist for these quick tutorial series where I explain all the things and mechanics in this game in bite-sized chunks. So, that all being said, it is time to begin. What I strongly suggest you to have prepared before you consider taking students. A couple of beds for them. Here in this scenario, I have even a bedroom for the staff and a bedroom for the students. They don't really respect the distribution as of yet, but more about that later. Some place to eat at, some place to cook food at, and in this scenario we have a gutberry planter as well, because this keeps the gutberries coming. Later down the road I'm also going to do a video about cooking and the like, but in this part of the game, a couple of gutberries and a couple of rats are pretty much everything we need to know to keep the these guys alive. So everything else is a bonus. This is because your starting school has a lot of happiness it just generates for free. So it doesn't bother your students too much at this point of the game if the school life is a little bit rough, as long as there's a bed, a place where they can sleep, and it's not wet or anything like that. Okay, to summon a student, we first need to craft a wand. So the wand will determine the school of magic that the student will pick up. I'm going to go for fire wand here because I really want to be ready to do some fire magic as quick as possible. Choice is up to you. It is just necessary to know that every job out here is linked to a certain school of magic. And I like to have a fire mage as quick as possible due to the fact that they are good at cooking, so that is something that is done quickly by them, but they also excel at hunting. And there are events in the game where it is really useful to be able to destroy something quickly, and that is where a high value in hunting helps. So, the wand is being made, and this is the first ingredient we require to summon a student. We can make all different types of wands, they just need different resources. I think it's a pretty straightforward process. The higher the tier of the wand, the higher the power of the wizard in question. So, at the beginning we can only start with, we can only bring tier 1 wands, and later we can upgrade these wands, but all students start at tier 1 wands, so you don't need anything bigger than that. If you can craft tier 2s, you don't need them for this purpose. So, once we have the wand, we go on over to the student summoner downstairs below. Summon Initiate is the thing we need, and then we can select somebody from our esteemed staff to summon somebody. This can be used to level up your staff as well, as this gives them every time experience. So don't pick people, if you have people that need leveling, don't pick the capped out people. Fire Wand is what we're going to take here, and as you see here, there's a population cap of 21 mages, so we're far away from that. Begin the ritual, and off we go. The mage will now pick up the Fire Wand and start the ritual. So, which race we get and the stats of the student in particular are absolutely random. I totally forgot that you should have a classroom, by the way, so have a classroom. It's very simple. I've built that way before in the series. That's why I forgot it. But jokes aside, you find the learning stone in the teaching area, and it's really cheap to build. Here we go. So we have now our first student. When we open the mage sheet, we can now see their stat distribution. So this one excels at tanking. Power is at B level, which is the oomph of the spells. Mana is really bad, speed is really bad, but that's the thing that Wavified will share. So it's really worth checking out how the stat distribution is to know whether or not you want to keep these people. Here at this point of the game, I might keep this guy. We'll see about that. There's also trials. So trials give your students extra XP when they complete them. They're little side quests that you can do or cannot do. It's up to you. Don't focus too hard on these early on. These things are way more interesting the later you are in the game, as you want to save time and get done as quick as possible with these tasks. That's what it is. So, we don't need that much more, except for one thing. The primary element of a student can be leveled up to level 3. The other schools are sort of random as far as I have looked at. I think it has something to do with randomness. Maybe it's determined and I haven't figured that out yet. Dear comment section, enlighten me if you know more. But besides that, what's important to note is that the primary element is the highest value, which is important because some tasks require a certain skill level, which becomes way more important when we reach the higher tiers of the game. So, the next thing that I want to point out here, once you have students, I highly recommend to put teaching on a very high priority on your priority list. I will do a separate video about the priority list very soon, but for starters, I want to keep it like that. This makes sure that always a teacher will be going to the classroom to teach your students something, which is really, really important because otherwise your students will become very unhappy. If they don't get taught, their conviction drops quite quickly. So, your student will now be going over here and get taught in the ways of magic. There we go. So, when they do this, they gain experience. As you see there, they're gaining experience according to the stuff they do. Over the course of the time, they will have learned everything they can learn. Then a little star icon will pop up below their faces. And that's the point where you need to decide whether you want to keep the folks or you want to graduate them and send them out into the wide world. Once you have a student and you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend you to research the basic rituals technology. This will give you ritual sigils, which is what you need to eventually graduate those people. So I'll show you how to build that. So first up, we connect this place with a door, and then we're going to get this into a room size. I'm going to put a roof on top of that. There we go. Nothing too special. I'm putting this room with the sigil over here with some forethought. The upgrade of this room will require to be not above or foundation. That's this stuff. So this is why I do this, and I personally do recommend, because it makes it so that you can easily expand later without having to rebuild. But I mean, rebuilding is not crime, so just give you a little bit of an insight why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we are going to require now, next to the ritual sigil in here, just like that, and some lighting. We're going to use braziers now, because I personally try to avoid later those wall torches. We're going to have to replace a few of those, because wall torches make the quality of a room go down, and that is for the luxury of a room go down. And this hall here lives off of luxury. So let's see. How's our lighting with that? Check the lighting screen. It's a blue room, that means we need more of that. We need more phoenix flowers for that. So this room now is what we will use to let our students eventually graduate once they are that far. This is extremely important because a student that is not able to graduate will eventually grow weary and unhappy. Thing is, your students want to go out into the wide world eventually. They don't want to be bound forever in your school. Once they have learned everything they can, over the time, they will accumulate a conviction debuff, which will make them succeedingly more and more unhappy. And that's the point where they need to be either graduated, here, that's that, or they can be hired as staff. That's the other thing. Currently, I don't have anybody because you need to have these folks to be fully trained to be released, and that's why this ritual is still blocked. But that's the start of it. The other thing, what you need this hall for is that without a properly staffed out assembly hall, that was not what I want, you will be unable to convert students into staff because let's go onto the Book of Rooms for that. The assembly hall is enough to graduate students. The auditorium is what you require to get yourself more staff in the long run. As far as I've seen, one fourth staff member can be made without an auditorium. At least it was like that in my first few runs. I don't know if that was something I've overlooked. Correct me where I stand wrong. But from the fourth staff member on, this needs to be an auditorium. And you see already, needs to be elevated, needs to be, it's not allowed to be private. It needs to have a lot of luxury. So we're preparing for this here already for the future, basically. So, what's left to say? Students are eventually, when they graduate, spawning relics. Relics are sort of equipment items that you can put onto your mages. As you see here, every mage has a certain amount of slots. And this is a whole topic for its own video. What I want to point out here is that without students, you don't get any relics. You also get over students Gnosis shards. Gnosis shards are needed for various things. Hiring higher value students, upgrading spell wands needs Gnosis shards, hiring staff needs Gnosis shards. Gnosis shards are created whenever students learn something, when they, I think when they graduate, they also produce a few, and they also can be produced by pulverizing relics. So altogether, Gnosis shards are a very, very important resource for your school, and therefore having a steady cycle of students that learn in your school, produce Gnosis shards, produce relics, and then go into the world, it's very important for your forthcoming in the game. And another thing which I want to point out, beast care can only be done by students. So beasts are very handy crafting devices. I shun to say that. Crafting companions. And they can only be operated by students. So if you don't have enough students, you will eventually run out of capabilities to do this. So that would be also a problem. So this is pretty much Student 101. Once you are deeper down the game, you can upgrade your students before you turn them into staff, into so-called apprentices. But that is tier 2 technology. I only want to give you that already as a sort of a foreshadowing so you know where to get one in the future. But for today, you now know pretty much everything you need to know about students, and you can safely explore the rest on your own. So, thanks for watching. Drop me your comments down below if you have any add-ons. As you see, I have already asked a few questions here and there because, you know, this game is darn complex and I haven't learned everything I want to know. But yeah, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and of course, I want to say thanks to all the supporters of the channel. Feel free to join on in, and of course, lots of thanks for watching my videos. I hope you have a great day, and see you soon.